Good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. Welcome to the Mary and Sam Show. Today, we're delighted that you're with us. We're going to talk about something that we consistently fail to do, and that's to execute the game plan that we come up with. Truth is, we don't need more strategies and more business plans. We just need to execute more. My thought on this is that, some things, what stops us from executing is that, we're pre-wired historically not to work too hard, because we had to conserve our energy so that we could survive. And so naturally your brain wants to take this approach of not working too hard because it'll exert all its energy, and therefore it might fail to have energy when it's absolutely needed, and that is for you to be safe. Fast forward 2 million years, we don't really need all of that. But our bodies are still pre-wired that way, and we need to understand how to work with ourselves to get beyond that and move. What's your thoughts?
I think we all want to do more. We want to be more. And in terms of our income, in terms of our, health and vitality, in terms of, doing more, being more for our family, and ultimately for ourselves and for our happiness. And I think most of the problem is that we often go back to our comfort zone.
Yeah.
There's a great quote that I remember from Rohn, said, change happens for two reasons: desperation or inspiration.
Oh yeah, true.
And the worst place is to be in between, where you're not desperate to do something or you're not inspired.
Yeah.
So like you stay in the middle zone, which is your comfort zone. To me, it's like your death zone. Just to do enough to get by, so you could preserve your body, or you don't have to do much because you think like maybe doing more is a lot of hard work, or the brain associates that it's so difficult you can't do it. So there's a resistance in the brain, right? You talked about that resistance in the brain, that anytime you want to do something, the body, the brain goes back to the survival mechanism, says, no, I'm comfortable where I am right now. We come up with excuses, and words that we use that to justify where we are, because we think it's too difficult to go beyond that comfort level.
Right. Yeah. And the comfort is a killer of all dreams. Right.
Yes.
Because too many people want to. Well, the other thing is it's not just beyond that comfort, but there's another thing that's tied to that. It's that fear of failure. And
Yes.
So rather than failing in facing failure, I'd rather not even try.
Right.
Therefore, I didn't fail.
Right.
Right. And in life, you need to actually fail. It was something like fail forward was a great something that I had read about. Was through all success happens because you tried, you failed, you tweaked it, and then you moved forward.
Yes. And this is something I can share. After working 12,000 hours of coaching with people, and I've worked with some of the top producers in the real estate company, and I've also worked with some of the CEOs of different companies, and I've worked with people that just got their license and were just starting. I think it doesn't matter where you're at, people always have that fear that they don't want to fail.
Yeah.
That they're afraid to take the next challenge, and people do find themselves in that middle where they're not so desperate to make changes, or they're not inspired. What I mean by inspired is like the inspiration comes from the heart, where you want to make a change to the world, where you want to do contribution, give back. That's when you're inspired. You're not really desperate for income or money, but you just want to make a change for everybody.
Right.
And most people don't find themselves in that category. Most people fall into the desperation, which is fine. Either zone is fine. It's just knowing if you're not in desperation, if you don't feel like you must make changes, then you are going to fall into that comfort zone, which is the worst place to be.
Right. So try to get excited about, if you're not desperate really, then try to get excited about what you're doing.
Well,
and you can kind of pump yourself up, right? I mean, like, oh my God, I can't wait till I'm gonna get out and do this.
Yeah.
Because it's gonna make me feel like that. So then you have to come up with ways to work with yourself. So that's one of them, is either if you're not desperate, get excited, right?
And how do you get excited? So if you're not in a desperate situation that you have to make some changes, and how do you get excited? Is you have to go back to your own purpose, your own values. What do you bring to the world as an individual? There's always something that comes from the heart that you want to make changes. And you can do some research and find out what is it that you want to offer to the world that makes you feel inspired, that you want to wake up every day and you're feeling that you want to step outside of your comfort zone.
Yeah.
So that's the best solution. And if you are in a desperation, some people do really well when they're under pressure, being desperate that I have to do this. And that's fine. And so, but if you're not in that mode, you need to find some inspiration so then you could get outside of your comfort level.
Definitely.
Because you know what, before you know it, with a snap of a finger, time flies by and you could look back and say, what have I done? You know, what changes did you want to make and you weren't able to make those changes? What purpose or dream did you not follow because you were afraid to take the next step, because you were afraid to take the risk, or because you're afraid that you were going to fail because you've done it in the past and it didn't work and you're afraid to step into it again?
Yeah. And then lastly, I think you should probably, we make things bigger in our head than they are.
Yes.
And so, if I said, I'm going to run a marathon, and at the beginning I focus on 26 miles, that is going to seem like a lot of time.
Yes.
Right? And when you do run a marathon, you think, okay, you break it down, I'll do 6 miles, and then you get another 6, you're at 12, 13 miles. Let me get to 18. They say you hit the wall right at that 20-mile mark, and you have to really play a mental game with yourself. Well, I'll just do another mile here,
Yeah.
and I'll keep going, and you know what, if I don't make it, that's fine, I'll stop. And then you get past that 20-mile marker, and then you can finish the last, 6 miles. And then before you know it, you've finished a marathon. So that's a strategy that we can all use for anything that we want to accomplish, and we've made it too big in our head, so we need to chunk it down into tiny pieces.
Yes. Unfortunately, most people do focus on the big picture. They're looking at a big number. How am I going to make 500,000? How am I going to make 1 million? How am I going to go beyond that? And sometimes that's very overwhelming.
Right. That reminds me of all the business plans that everybody writes at the beginning of the year, and nobody
Yes.
picks it up afterward because it's too big, too
Yes.
bold, too much. And it's not chunked down into tiny pieces, right?
And I'm always supportive of the business plan, because whatever that they write down, like twice as much money they want to make, 10 times as much, I'm like, great. Don't worry about that part of it. Let's break it down in small bite pieces, how you can take the next action tomorrow and
The
today.
daily activities.
And that's how we can monitor your behavior shift. And it's not about that big picture. It is, but it's not about, when it comes to taking action, you gotta focus on to the next step. What
Right.
can I do next?
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much for joining us. It was great to have you. Please share this video. Hit the like or the love button. Makes me happy. And until next time.
All right, thank you.